So this came out an hour ago. So the Raid Dungeons PvP and Delves. It's about the end game of the new expansion.
Welcome to a special edition of Wowcast, and thank you so much for joining us. Launch is right around the corner, and today we are joined by a few incredible guests to share how dungeons...
Yeah, releases in like 9 days or something.
...as well as new features like delves and warbands. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Laura Sardinia. I'm lead UX designer in the WoW team.
Hey, I'm Morgan Day, one of the associate game directors on World of Warcraft.
And I'm John Mark Hempel. I'm a lead gameplay engineer on World of Warcraft.
How has the team been approaching what's waiting for players at max level for the War Within?
As we've been talking about, the content that players will be experiencing once they reach the end game, there's really been 3 main pillars we've been focusing on. The first is variety. We want to make sure that there's all kinds of activities for you to do, whether...
Bro, it's raiding with like 1 hour queue times because no healer is actually playing solo shuffle because it's dog water, to be nice. Mythic Plus, where it's just super sweaty and gatekeeping as hell. Raiding, that is just the same, and everybody's just selling, boosts, so, everybody can just flex their stupid ass curve, but still people will gatekeep you for not having curve. Despite you can just buy curve for like 100,000 gold, which makes this entire show your achievements to prove that you actually cleared the content meaningless. But people still don't get that after like 2 expansions. That is how it works. Meaningful endgame, yeah.
Be in the outdoor world, or with some of our new features like delves that are really going to add some new variety for those players.
I'm looking forward to that.
Focus on progression and giving players new challenges to try to overcome in the end game. And finally, the story and making sure that that narrative is front and center. Now, whether that's tied into some of these features and some of the content that we built there, or maybe it's focused on the end game campaign that is going to be built out as players progress as well. Something that I think is going to be really transformative and I'm excited about for the War Within is one of our major features, warbands. If you aren't familiar, this is a feature that really ties all your characters together, and really this is our opportunity to make sure that we're really respecting the time of the player behind the keyboard and not constantly asking you to, maybe re-earn something on one character that you've already earned on another one. That's all changing with the War Within, which is really exciting.
John Mark, can you tell us more about the significant undertakings that warbands is about?
Yeah, it's no easy task to reimagine in a modern context what we've done over the past 20 years. I think, Morgan, at BlizzCon, you called this several features in a trench coat. Yeah. And it's very true. In a nutshell, it's really a philosophical shift in how we approach
It's a worm.
Instead of being from a character focus, we're taking a step back and approaching it more from what the players accomplished over the entire time that they've played the game. Historically, we've added on pieces to individual systems from the engineering side to support features going into expansions. But if we could wave a magic wand and go back 20 years ago, knowing where we're headed today, likely we would have organized those things very differently from an engineering perspective.
Yeah, and I really feel like this is easily one of the largest undertakings that our engineering team has had to, develop for an expansion. We always used to look at, updates to future patches where like, let's make this a little bit easier for your alt to catch up or earn some progression there, where now that is something that we're really architecting from the forefront and really beginning the conversation with that.
I think when it's all said and done, every engineering sub-team is going to have touched this feature.
Okay.
So what value do warbands bring?
It's all about being able to transfer stuff between your characters. If you have items that you want to send from one character to the other, you just put it in the warband.
Yeah, cool. I only play like 2 characters per expansion at most, so I don't care about warbands that much.
One of the things I love about it is the shared renown, right? Like there's so much reputation that I'm gaining across my characters that will all be combined and consolidated on one account-wide reputation there. There's a lot of fun stuff that comes from it when it comes to like trying to find more variety when I approach the game. For instance, as Logan, I made sure to turn warband questing on so that I saw all the quests that I already completed. It's a little bit less opaque, so it's
cool.
Transparent, and that way like, okay, I've done that quest on one of my other
Yeah,
characters.
cool. I have a law master, I don't give a shit.
When it comes to maybe gearing that new character, there's actually a new type of item called Warbound Until Equipped, or Woo. This is a new item that will drop in all kinds of endgame content, including things like...
I hate this itemization, by the way. I think this is boring. It is just numbers with numbers. I like the 1% hit. And like crit, hit, spell crit. I don't know why. It is pretty much not that much different, but it just looks like distinct. This is just, it all looks the same. It's just 4 stats. on a weapon. Nothing special about it. It's boring. I don't know why. I just prefer how Classic is doing its items and the descriptions and stuff. It just looks more special when you have, like, for example, you go into Diamond West, everybody's favorite, and you get this dagger, and it has like increased dagger +6. Like, what? Or you go into Molten Core, and you get like a Perdition's Blade. And it has like a chance, like it has damage and it has a chance. Maybe it has a few stats, some weapons. But they have this cool text that restores mana, it gives attack power. It is so much cooler as 4 stats. Because that is essentially what it is, it's just 4 stats. And here, like, you got the damage, you got stamina, you got a stat, and then you got a chance on hit and stuff like that. It's so much cooler, in my opinion. I like this way more. This is just all very samey. Every item feels the same.
Mythic Plus and Raids, where these will be bonus drops, where they'll drop a slightly lower item level where you might have earned that reward, and then you can put that in your bank or send it to one of your alts, and actually, once you equip it on one of your characters, then it will bind to that character. So the fact that...
Okay, it is account bound gear. Bound on account. That was already in the game. They already used that since, I don't know, probably since Heirlooms. They just renamed it.
It binds to the ward.
It was pretty much part of every pre-expansion thing event. Where you can farm like alt, catch-up gear and all that stuff. Was always account bound. This is pretty much it is exactly the same.
Ban means we can be really generous with that gear as we're dropping for alts.
I imagine as part of this overhaul that it's led to some unique challenges with the UI.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. UI revamp continues, and Warbands was a great opportunity for us to revamp the character select. Last time when we did a big entry screen update was during Shadowlands. So with Warbands, we did a whole big user experience revamp there. We kept the right side list, but now you can drag and drop much easier your characters, and we have a favorite section there, which is really cool because they're all cross-helm characters that you can have. So you don't need to be back and forth choosing characters. They're all gonna be there for you, very, very easy. And also the tooltips are all new. Now you just mouse over and it's all there for you. So pretty great improvements overall. And also the new bank for your Warband character. So a lot of good improvements that we wanted to make sure it feels natural to players and it just feels great. That's what a good UI should be, you know? So yeah, that's what we're looking for.
There's a lot of functionality out of that too. Like you can craft straight out of your Warband bank. So you can just dump all that stuff in your Warband bank, and you know, one of your other characters who might be able to use that profession stuff will then be able to access it much more quickly. You don't have to mail it around, and you know, it's really looking to streamline a lot of those.
Yeah, that's nice.
For Mythic Plus runners or dungeons, any kind of
At least for people who use like more than one character. Like, I only ever play like one. So all this Warband stuff, yeah, I have a bunch of rep across like a few characters. But I think it's not even retroactive. It's like from Dragonflight onwards, not backwards. I think. But also I'm not sure. So it's really not that interesting overall. The thing is, I have a shit ton of characters. Like I have like over 50 characters in retail. But I only level them and then I drop them. I never play them at endgame. I only level them up for like the leveling experience with like dungeons and stuff. That's fun, that's cool. And then I go back to my main. I just level experience and one character for endgame, because endgame farm is the worst.
Requires a group. We also revamped that left panel, the little ear pane that you push it out. You can now apply raid markers much easier. You can also assign different folks in your group to do so, which before wasn't that easy. And also you can change very easily as well the difficulty of the instance.
One of the other things I love that we added is hubs, right? So on the main map, there's often, as you are progressing in the end game, there's all kinds of content that might be really consolidated in one area. And sometimes it's like, oh, there's so much stuff here, and it makes the map feel like it might have a little bit of clutter on it. So we now have a way to kind of consolidate some of that.
The hubs, as Morgan was explaining, when you get in the War Within, you're going to see this castle city icon that we're going to have in each zone. And Deddonekku is the biggest one. When
Wow.
you click on it, you can see the city map. And one of the technologies that we want to add, the hub going to prioritize for you what is the most...
I might sound very negative right now, but man, this is like every video game for like the last 20 years has this stuff. I cannot get excited over like basic functionality of a modern game. Sorry, I can't.
Important content for you to do. Of course, you can choose to do something else, but we want to clean up the surroundings of hubs and main cities. So that's the kind of tech that we're looking into UI as well, and we want to evolve and get players' feedback. Also, for the end game, we have a new type of quest that's called meta quests, but those are end game important repeatable quests, and then they are the classic exclamation mark, you know, above the NPC heads, but it's blue because it reminds of the old dailies, but you're gonna have spikes around it, so you know that's like, oh, I should check this out. Yeah, so the hub when there's something available as a meta quest for that week, the hub will show that to players, so you know that's something that you should do. If you don't have too much time, you probably should prioritize those because they give very, very good end-game rewards. So that's the kind of technology that UI is trying to help players.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
You might be coming back, or you're veteran players, or you just want to, you know, do the easiest thing for the week, and that's gonna be all there on the map for you, so you don't have to go back to the icon soup.
Are there any extra quality of life improvements to...
Okay, wait, so they know they have icon soup with like too many things that are not relevant enough. So they made an extra icon for the quest that is relevant. Why you have that irrelevant stuff to begin with? Ah, whatever.
The UI?
Sure, I've seen a lot of the community very happy about the search bars. So we keep adding those. With Warbands, we have a search bar there as well. In Dragonfly, we had the search in the options menu. Professions, of course, if you're searching for something specific. Bags, we added that in Dragonfly, and the talents. But now, the spellbook is getting a whole revamp, and it's so good to have a search bar there.
That's pretty huge.
The spellbook looks beautiful now. Like, you can have two.
Okay, so you have all your warrior skills in one view, that's at least very good. And you got all your arm spells. I assume that is all.
Pages, and that way you don't have to paginate as much. But if you really prefer one pane, there is an icon at the top, which is the collapse one. It comes back to the original classic size. So we know some players really love that, and we want to make sure that everyone is happy with the new spellbook. Having the time to do all that stuff makes us so happy, because we want to keep the classic WoW look, even though it looks modern, but it's...
Oh, you want to? What is this? What is this? This new guild tab that nobody asked for in classic.
It still feel WoW, and that's really important for us.
Morgan, earlier you mentioned you want to empower players to play the way they want to play. How is that going to be approached in the new feature Delves?
Yeah, so, you know, like we've discussed, Delves are really bite-sized content, really targeted on those players who love progression in the outdoor world and maybe aren't so excited about going into group content or queued content. Something that they gave us feedback on is that they really wish that there was a way for these to be a bit more difficult and maybe give them a bit of a challenge too. Delves, while the rewards might end at tier 8, so that the item level that you're getting stops there, the difficulty tier goes to 11. And when you reach that difficulty, there will be a hard mode version of Zekfir, which for people who might be familiar with some of those solo challenges like the Mage Tower of the past, this will be a new solo challenge for players to really, you know, try to tackle over time. And we imagine this is something that will take quite a bit of effort.
I would like to have like cool like single player challenging content. I really like the Mage Tower. That was so much fun. But the Delves, I see them closer to like Torghast. All I see so far is just, hey guys, this game is now from 2020 and not 2004 anymore. and the same shit all over again. Or like, oh, see? We know that we have like too much stuff in the game that nobody gives a shit about, so now we made an icon to tell you what you should give a shit about. Why don't you just remove all the shit no one cares about? You know? Take out all this bloat out of the game. That is so annoying. I mean, I in general, I don't really have the most favorable opinion on retail currently. But man. Where's the hairy dudes talking about orcs? That's what I need right now. Give me the hairy dudes, the bald hairy dude talking about orcs and how they kill each other. And that it will be badass.
And, you know, progression to get to the point where you'll be able to defeat Zekfir at that difficulty. And waiting for you, if you're able to do that, is a
Alright, Spades, have fun, see you later, bye-bye.
Really awesome, unique, kind of voided out version of that customizable delve mount that you're going to be rewarded with very early on in your delve progression.
Can you talk about the different varieties of delves?
Yeah, so with delves, there's 13 delves in total, and something that we really wanted to focus on was to make sure that each delve had multiple variants, right? So while there's 12 delves that you'll experience and be sent to, you know, a couple in each zone, every time you zone in, we wanted to make sure that...
Yo, look at that. Oh my god, he's so buff.
There, like, oh, the spawning changed a little bit, or maybe there's some traps that look a little bit different. The actual objectives are changing. Sometimes the way you traverse through the delve completely changes. Maybe you're going to start at the end of the delve
no, the
and
candle.
work your way backwards. So we wanted to make sure that these different variants were really distinct with each new delve. And we also wanted to make sure that, like I said earlier, with progression to be a large part of this. So there's a couple different aspects of that. For one, the Great Vault, which is something that a lot of our raid and PvP and Mythic Plus players are familiar with,
the Great
is
Vault
going to get an outdoor row with
oh.
within. So the loot that comes from delves, we wanted to make sure that while it was bite-sized content, that doesn't mean it can't be really rewarding, right? So if you're able to work your way up and defeat level 8, which is where the loot kind of caps out at, your Great Vault will actually reward you with items that are higher item level than you would get out of like a Mythic plus 10 end of run chest. So it's really good loot.
Yeah, it's really
and
rewarding.
We want to make sure that you're using that gear that you're in along the way to work through the different delve tiers and finally take the fight to Zekfir and by extension Xalatath as well, which also gets us into feeling like delves should be a big part of our endgame story as well, and making sure that they're paying into this narrative of Xalatath and all of our epic heroes that we're experiencing along the way. Something else that we added in the UI for delves is, there's now a whole tab that exists for delves that will exist down with the adventure journal, where you can see Mythic Plus and see your seasonal journey.
Okay, so they actually go heavy into this. Like new UI specifically for that.
Who's your companion? You can
Guild Tabard Inc. Yeah, we need 5 more gold.
There, so lots of fun.
Sardinio, do you have? You got a char that is not self-found but has some gold on this server? We need 5 gold for the Guild Tabard to make one. If not, I will have to go on my druid later tonight and just farm that.
UI additions and improvements that have made delves that much more fun.
The team has also made significant changes to the Mythic Plus dungeons. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so actually...
Oh my god, they made it so complicated. It was so hell to talk about it. Like, plus 0 till up to plus 10 is now 0. And it's only going to up to plus 10. But that's actually like more like 12 and till 20. It's so... oh my god. And then they have these... oh, you have adventure gear, you have explorer gear, you have... champion gear, you have worm guard gear. It is oh, it's so fucking. It is just needlessly complicated.
Not only is Mythic Plus getting some changes, but also the core progression of dungeons is
dude, I hate these dragons so much.
If you've been playing Dragonflight Season 4, you might have seen that Mythic 0 has actually gotten quite the facelift. Something that we have noticed in the...
Show this to someone who's not hardcore WoW player, they won't understand what is changing here. Will not get it. What is this supposed to mean?
Past is Mythic Zero was great for like 2 weeks of an expansion, and then nobody really needed to do it anymore because they had just progressed into Mythic Plus. So with the War Within, a Mythic Zero will be the equivalent of what, you know, if you...
Okay. Where are you? In Tanaris. Can you make it to Stormwind? Where's my the guild leader character? Or send it, and I will make one later. It also works.
You haven't played since Shadowlands, Mythic 10 might have been. So it's quite difficult, and will be equally as rewarding. But you know, we wanted to capture that audience of people who loved that feeling of the mega dungeons where, you know, there's still progression, but also there's no timer, right? So if that was something that maybe put you off from Mythic Plus, this is something that you can still do with your friends, and hey, you can run AFK if you need to in the middle of these. But for Mythic Plus itself, we really took a huge step back and wanted to do a major affix refresh. We have gone through multiple iterations of that on the beta. You know, we got a lot of feedback from our first iteration of it and have really pivoted significantly since then.
It was kind of neat because we had some players that said, we really like the direction of these affixes. These I don't know about. And then other players that felt the exact opposite. I'm not sure about these, but I really like this direction. And really what helped us crystallize was we had multiple groups of players that wanted different challenges out of the same Mythic Plus.
I'm gonna tell you, there will still be that stupid whirlwind affix that spawns like 20 tornadoes in melee camp that will knock you up and you die one shot to some bullshit. This tune looks so fucking cool. Why did it happen? That is always what was annoying as hell. Even as a, like, also as a tank. As a tank, you just have like one more melee or two and it's just tornadoes everywhere. Holy shit. And you would just get knocked up, some ability under you, dead. Like, come on, man. I don't know. It was too much at some point. It's just too many things happening. And you just get killed by like random bullshit. Blessed tune. Ice Metal Baboot. Pretty cool. Herod's Shoulder. Oh, that's a good one. Tiger Strike Mantle. Huge. As we got Plate, Reinforced Armor. Oh, not bad. Bone Biter. Yeah, I don't know why you didn't keep playing that character, man. That warrior's juiced.
System. Historically, affixes have been a one-size-fits-all approach to challenge and variety. But it was kind of a cool moment. Morgan came to the gameplay engineering team and was like, hey, we got this feedback. We have this idea for making affixes target different level ranges rather than applying to the entirety of Mythic Plus. And the design solution ended up being pretty elegant for engineering to implement. It was like this beautiful confluence of events where we were able to turn this around within, I don't know, 2 weeks or something like that, and get the full revamped system back on the beta for players to test.
Yeah, it was really awesome to see kind of that all come together so quickly. So, you know, what players I've seen now and what will be going live with The War Within Season 1 is a version where Xalatath actually plays a major role in the affixes, you know, from the beginning up until level 12. And it's very much one of the goals we had to make sure that the story plays a part in all of our endgame content. So we really wanted to kind of achieve that by having her kind of show up in your Mythic Plus dungeon and maybe throw some spells at you and mess with you.
You know, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft this year, and if you're coming back from a break or if you're a completely new player, just learning the dungeons can be daunting on top of affixes and things like that. So this sort of granular way that affixes apply challenges to the dungeons allows players to engage with them in the way that they want to be challenged.
Something that we added in Dragonflight, which is the follower dungeons, are great for that because you can have NPC companions, which are not real players, playing with you through the dungeon. And let's say you just changed to a new spec, you want to be a healer now, and I really want to try that first before I really go into a dungeon with new players.
We know that players in dungeons often are afraid of trying out new specs, and with hero talents, there's different flavors of new combat
Not
for
all
people
were fiery.
to try out, and follower dungeons provide a way for you to just go in and feel it out and not be too concerned about how you're impacting other people.
I guess this is nice, whatever.
Mentioned a few times. How are we applying that to PvP?
Final Fantasy also did that.
There's actually a new feature that I am personally going to play quite a bit, where you're going to be able to experience essentially rated battlegrounds. It's called Rated Battleground
Blaze.
which is a smaller number of players, and you'll be able to earn conquest and
Wait, what?
you know, all the
And feel it out and not be too concerned about how you're
Yeah,
impacting
nobody cares.
Approachability has been mentioned a few times. How are we applying that to PvP?
Yeah, there's actually a new feature that I am personally going to play quite a bit, where you're going to be able to experience essentially rated battlegrounds. It's called Rated Battleground Blitz, which is a smaller number of players, and you'll be able to earn conquest and you know, all the awesome rated PvP rewards while playing battlegrounds. Because you know, we know there's a ton of people who love battlegrounds, but you know, the jump into arenas sometimes might be a little bit scary. That is a
little bit scary. Arena is so over-designed and trash by now, but nobody can get into it. It is too many abilities. Like, you have 5 rows of passives proccing all the time. Of course, it is daunting to get into Arena.
Or smaller experience, and you know, each little mistake counts for a lot when you're in an arena. Where in a battleground, you know, there's a lot more going on. Usually they last longer.
Dude, from experience, I'm telling you, rated BGs are even more toxic. I got into rated RBGs once. It was the worst. I have 5 gold so far. Yeah. Give me that. Ha, nice. Scammed. See ya. I take his Harry money. I don't care. We will make the tablet after the video.
Objectives. So we really are excited about.
I mean, this looks cool. I'm down for
I've
PvP,
done
like
a ton of,
Battlegrounds.
I know the community calls them YOLO RBGs, where you can just do RBGs, don't worry about voice chat, you just kind of go in and play. I always love running into those, so having this feature will kind of take that place for me. So I'll be able to earn my conquest early on in the season. Now, I know we mentioned the Great Vault quite a bit earlier when we were discussing this. We actually got a lot of feedback from our PvP players that they don't love having to have the Great Vault be such a big part of their itemization and gearing journey. Not only
nobody likes the Great Vault. Period.
does it add some potential randomization, right? Like maybe first week of the season you got a weapon and I don't, and that, you know, kind of can create some imbalance there. But also, like we're talking about accessibility, it can also cause problems where, you know, maybe you're a couple weeks into the season and you just now want to get into PvP, but there's no catch up on the Great Vault. So you can feel like you're permanently behind on PvP, and it's maybe the barrier to entry is a little too high for you to get into that. So not having that in the Great Vault actually solves a lot of problems for us, giving players more agency in how they're rewarded, and also we have much stronger catch-up on things like our conquest currency for PvP players. So we think that will be a big step forward for that audience, and hopefully, you know, inspire some people to check out PvP in the War Within.
Raiding is an integral part of endgame. How is the team approaching raid?
I will say it. Might not feel bad. I think the entire idea of catch-up is a failed design. Classic doesn't have catch-up. You can make the argument about the diamond. But I think catch-up stuff is just a bad design. Like from the fundamentally a bad designed game, where you constantly have to catch up people so they are not left out. They are not getting obliterated in PvP. So everything in the game is just built around that things just turn too fast and people cannot get things done fast enough. And there's no natural, like, the natural progression is just disturbed. There is no progression. It's just always, shit. Farm, catch up. New season. Shit goes on again, your stuff gets, the value of your stuff is gone. I don't know. That is like the old version has a way better approach where you just naturally progress through the content and all the content stays pretty much relevant. Even Final Fantasy XIV found a way to keep old content and the more meaningful. But they also have catch up. But well, itemization in Final Fantasy is boring anyways. I don't know. I hate this idea of having to have catch up all the time. I think it's just the design, like the gameplay around it is just from the ground up flawed. Like, why would I even play now if I can catch up anyways? Why would I put in effort right now? In 2 months it's gone. New season. Mario exact. No, I don't like Mario. Catch up is better. Why even put in effort in the first season when the second season will replace everything? Why even play the expansion in the first 1.5 years? When you can just get everything super fast in the last half year with all the stuff unlocked, and you can just play that season into the new expansion. I hate this idea of catch up and everything gets resetted all the time. I think that is completely the seasonal design is completely, like, for me at least, against what an MMO should be. Like a persistent, constantly growing world. World of Warcraft just is the smallest MMO I can think of. It is only like one little section of a big world that is not utilized at all. And every time in this little world, it also gets resetted all the time. It is such a small game. To me, retail is closer to something like League of Legends than RuneScape. RuneScape is a real MMO. Classic is a real MMO. Retail is League of Legends. And I don't like that. It's fun for a week or two, but you can be damn well sure I will not invest much time because I know in 2 weeks or like in 2 months, it's gone. If I look into my other characters here in Classic, they are still equipped in AQ40 gear, in Molten Core gear, they are still relevant, and they still can progress. If I would look into my retail characters right now, they are garbage. And I have to use the catch up to not be garbage anymore. It just feels bad. Like, whatever you do, it feels bad to play the game. You play it, you get punished because of resets. You don't play it, well, you fall behind and you need to do catch up, which is brain dead easy, so you don't even feel rewarded for getting the gear. I don't know, it's only lose.
This tier.
Yeah, so Nerebar Palace is going to be an epic experience. You know, Nerubians galore in there.
Epic.
And one of the cool new features that we're introducing with War Within is to play through the raid, or at least experience the ending with Queen Ansarak solo. So we wanted to make sure that for people who were really engaged in that story at the end game, but maybe didn't want to go into queued content or don't have a whole group to go into the raid with, they'll still be able to see that epic finale. Something else that I think is really fun, there's a lot of variety in player skill across all of our player types in the game, and we have a lot of difficulties for them, but even within a single raid, there can be a lot of, you know, progression that you're experiencing. And with Dragonflight, we added a new item upgrade system where you could upgrade.
Within a raid, there's a lot of progression you can experience. Really? Is that so? That's crazy.
Some of your gear, but some players also found that they might not be able to quite get over that hurdle on one of them, maybe the end boss or something that comes as the penalty.
Correct. If you can't overcome that hurdle, just skip it. You know, you want that cake, but you don't want to bake it yourself. Just, you know, we just give you one. No, you don't have to play the game. Why even play the game at this point? They give you everything. Oh, you want a new character? Just give us 60 bucks. We boost you a character. Oh, you want the gear? You can buy it off the auction house. Just give us money with a MAU token. Oh, you want to see all the cutscenes and all the cool stuff we prepared and all the cinematic stuff? Yeah, just skip the content. What? What? Why?
Boss. So we're adding a new quest that will unlock about a month into the War Within, that every week you'll get a little bit more powerful. It's kind of reminiscent of like Hellscream's war song back in Icecrown Citadel.
Oh my god.
But you'll have to kind of earn your way through that progression. So not only is there awesome gear to be earned as you progress through the raid, but we wanted to make sure that
I will start a lawsuit. Blizzard doesn't have a right to say earned anymore. You don't earn shit. You get shit thrown your way and you just catch whatever sticks. There's no earning in these games anymore.
for people who might take a little bit longer, there's some more progression along with just the gear.
That buff's applied throughout your warband, right? It's not just on the character.
Yeah, that's another really fun thing. Again, like that was something that maybe would have just been applied to a single character, but in War Within, that buff is across my whole warbands.
That's cool.
While we are talking about raids, I would love to bring it up, the self-highlight option, which I'm a huge fan. You can highlight yourself and persist that, but now you can even have an icon on your head that no...
Okay, cool. Why do you need that? Because the fights are over-designed and you cannot see anything going on because there's a lot of red attacks over red ground with red circles and red fire and red enemies. Band-Aid fix to the bigger problem with the game.
Nobody can take from you. So that is awesome. You know, for players, I'm included, that I cannot find myself in the whole chaos of a raid boss or even Mythic Plus. There's also another option that's called Show Silhouette when
So that's why we can just skip everything, because the developers can't even play their own game.
obscured. If you have that on, there is a silhouette of your character between that pillar. Let's say it's a pillar, so you see your character there.
I always call those like the flag boss or the tree boss, where it's like, oh, the flag is in my camera. That's really cool, Laura, and I love that. And you know, not only those cool options, but there's so much more to explore in the War Within, and I'm really excited for our players to come on this journey with us. Both players who have been with us all through Dragonflight, as well as players who might be returning.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this look into endgame content, and we look forward to seeing you in Kazalgar.
I gotta be honest. I didn't really like what I heard. There's like two things I thought that might be cool, the delves might be fun, but everything else and the reasoning for it is, in my opinion, just bad. Oh, everything is too hard, so we better just put weird effects on your character instead of, you know, making the fights more accessible and more visually clear. Instead of, you know, getting a meaningful progression through the expansion, what people have been asking for a long time by now. Now we will just skip more of it, and even more. We already talk about the catch-up, and you can just skip the entire raid if you want to just see the ending of it. I don't know. Sounds pretty bad to me. I will give it a shot, but already with all the catch-up stuff again and seasons and all that, no. I don't like games with seasons. Stop yapping. I can't. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It is, to me, the complete opposite of what an MMO should be. No MMO should have seasons. And catch-up stuff. It should have a meaningful progression that stays relevant through the entire game. And yes, you might have to go through Molten Core on your new character. Just do it. Molten Core's pretty fun. Anyways. We'll be out in like early access is in 9 days. Yeah, and then the full release in 12 or something. Let's see. I will play it for a week or something and decide if I stick to it. Anyways, let's do our tabard.